So hi everyone, welcome to another virtual PD session. Today's topic is on EquatIO, and Superior Greenstone District School Board is fortunate enough to have purchased the premium version of EquatIO, so you all have access to it, but do we know how to use it? And so I brought in one of our technology champions from Manitowoc High School, Jamie Mallet. Jamie, give us a wave. Jamie is a math teacher and an e-learning teacher at Manitowoc High School, and so she has been using EquatIO and sees the benefits for both herself as a classroom teacher and, of course, for our students as learners. So I have shared the link in the side window, and I will be sharing out the link later for the resource. Why do we have EquatIO? Why is it something that the board has moved forward? Well, if you're not aware, the board improvement plan is structured around one of our math goals, and our goal is if we foster effective communication in our classrooms, then our students will be able to organize and consolidate their mathematical thinking and analyze the mathematical thinking and strategies of others. And our focus for this school year is in order to communicate their thinking in math, students will make their thinking visible through reasoning and proving. And so I have highlighted a few I've highlighted a few words there in that presentation, and the words being communication, students, and making thinking visible. And EquatIO will help us achieve those goals because it is another way for our students to utilize a tool to communicate and demonstrate their understanding of the math concepts that you're trying to teach them in your math or chemistry classrooms, because this is also a great tool for the science teachers out there. So the first thing we need to look at is, how do you have EquatIO? Yes, you do. Everybody who has a Superior Greenstone District School Board account has EquatIO. And so EquatIO is this little blue diamond that shows up here in your nav bar. So if you don't have that, my first advice would be to go up to the top right-hand corner of your computer in Google Chrome and click on, now it could be the outline of a little person or a name. And when you click on the name, you want to make sure that it is your board account that is registered. If you are using your personal Gmail or some other form of email, we can't push that out to personal accounts. It doesn't recognize different users. It only recognizes our board accounts. So the first thing you need to do is to log into your Google Chrome and to make sure you are under your board account. If you're not, if you have your personal Gmail or another account open, you need to go down to Manage People. And down at the bottom where you can add a person, that's where you go through the process of entering in your board credentials. You may need to, once you've entered in your information and set your Chrome to your work account, you might need to log off and log back in, and then you'll get the EquatIO launched on your taskbar. There is one extra step too. Once you have EquatIO, once you've opened up one of the G Suite tools, so that could be Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Forms, Google Drawings, because EquatIO works in all of those. It's a really amazing tool. You're going to need to activate the additional tools that have been set up. And so I've given you a couple of videos, and these are on these slides. But I'm missing a slide that was there. Oh, there's a link. Sorry. If you click on this link right here, I was thinking I spent some time on this, so I know that I did it. I take you through the steps, and basically what you need to do is open up, say, a Google Doc, click on the EquatIO button, and it will open up. And then at the bottom of the left-hand side, it'll say EquatIO, and a little drop-up menu will appear, and it says Try EquatIO Math Space. And you need to click on that, select Google from the options, make sure that you have your SGDSB account as one of the options, and then click Accept. So you get this prompt here, EquatIO is looking for permission to, boom, 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 click Accept. And then all of the additional features that have just been released in the fall that Jamie's going to be speaking to today will now appear in the bottom of your EquatIO window. So in the future, if you are using EquatIO, but you don't see the graphing tool or the Add a Shape tool or any of the other features that we talked about today, just make sure that you've activated the new features. So there's a couple little housekeeping steps that you need to go through, but once you've done that, you never have to do them again. And again, this does work really well. It's integrated into both Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Drawings, and Google Sheets, as well as Google Forms. So that's the housekeeping aspect of it. And I think with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Here we go. We're back to Miss Mallet. And so I'm going to let Jamie take it away into the nitty gritty, the actual use of the tool in the math and science classroom.
Yes. Now I want to preface to say that I use this a lot as the teacher, so making the resources for myself. But you can, like, students can still use it. It just makes my job as a teacher preparing assignments and tests 10,000% easier, because trying to use like Microsoft Word equations editor is soul-suckingly difficult sometimes. It's just a lot of clicking in and out of features. This just makes it a lot simpler, and the prediction feature, which I'm about to show you, is a dream come true.
And so if I can just interrupt. So if I can just interrupt on there as well, for those of you that use Google Docs or are familiar with G Suite, the collaboration aspect and the feedback part of using, like, say, Google Docs. If you're doing this through Google Docs, you can share the docs with all of your students as well. Then, because they're demonstrating their learning, you can, because you have Google Read and Write as well, you can leave them an audio feedback as well as written feedback. And so you have a record of their learning process and not just a final hand-in sheet of 5 math marks. You can, give feedback and go back and forth. So really great for that, the assessment, the overall process of learning for assessment. So that's why it's another benefit to us. So Jamie, I will go ahead with the tools.
Yeah, no, go right ahead, because you were saying, like, even if you wanted to make the test yourself or the quiz, and then you set it so that set it up in your Google Classroom so it makes a copy, all of your work is there, and then the students then have access to the tool that can then type out the math nicely, and it's not all wonky with weird characters. So I'm going to share my screen, and I already have a Google Doc ready. So, like Stacy was saying, I'm just in a regular Google Doc. I click on my little triangle, and this should pop up. I'm going to hide this because I can't see it. There we go. So here's the equation editor, and we have our prediction feature because we have premium, so that's really nice. But it gives a suggestion. Start typing SQU to see it in action. So I'm looking possibly to square something, to draw a square, or have a square symbol show up, or maybe I want to take a square root. So if I start typing SQR, it even goes into units of measure. So I'm going to click on square root, and then I can type the square root of x, whatever. I can make it as complicated. I don't have to use algebra. I can say the square root of 9. And then if I tap my right arrow key, it takes me out of the square root, and I can complete. So the square root of 9 is, I want to see if it's a plus or minus, right? 3. Then I just hit insert math, and it inserts the image into the Google Doc. So my internet's a little slow. Give it a second. There we go. Great. It's in my document. Now, say I realize that I've made a mistake. So if I close this and I need to edit this, I can click on this, and I can hit extract math, and it pops it up, and it gives me a chance to change something in here without having to retype. So I can fix my mistake, whether or not I wanted to have plus or minus, and then I just hit insert, and it'll change the image once again, and it'll fix. So I don't have to spend more time going back to edit the mistake out. So it just inserts an image file directly into Google Doc. We're not going to look at LaTeX editor. That's kind of like an advanced feature for someone who's looking to type out physical code in order to get specific things. We do have a handwriting feature, which is nice. So if you have a touch screen, my recommendation would be with a whiteboard. So if you have an interactive whiteboard, so your smart board, and you have this up, students can then use the pen or their fingers and write out the math. So I'm just going to delete my old math, and I can write it in. This is really nice if you're solving a multi-step problem. So if I had x minus 4 is equal to 6. And then I want to show all of my steps. So I'm going to make my 0 pair. What I do to one side, I have to do the other. This cancels out. And that's actually not going to recognize that. That's how I would show it. And then so I could say x equals 6 plus 4, which is C. And then because I made a mistake, like I dragged it, so it did something weird, I can undo plus 4. And then so x equals 10. And I have the whole solution, and I can insert it directly into the Google Doc. And then I just clicked and dragged so I can bring it back down so I can see. And look at that in my Google Doc. And if I want to double check, I just click here. So it's nice. It's a good way to track, especially say a student that doesn't necessarily have the neatest penmanship, you have a really hard time writing. Its handwriting recognition is fairly strong, and they can go back and fix as they make the mistakes to clean it up. So that's always really nice. And then finally, we also have a voice to text or speech input. This one, you kind of have to think about how you want to speak the math, but you can still give it a try. So 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So as you can see, I said something or I stuttered and it didn't clean up. So I can delete and I can try again. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. Okay. And again, then I can just go straight into insert. Now I should, because this is up here as well, if I click into equation editor, I can go and fix or change something this way manually as well. Now, the one thing that I want to highlight, especially when we're dealing with fractions, so as we start to get into the intermediate math, our fractions can get a little more, I think of a nice word, but I'm just going to use intense or complicated.
Complicated, yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So sometimes we have multi-steps over in our numerator, our top term. So if we're trying to type that out for ourselves, we could start typing the full numerator out. So I'm going to use something that I might see in a grade 10 math class. So I might see 2x plus 3, and that's the top of my numerator. If I highlight and then use my / the button that also has your question mark, then I get my fraction line and I can say 5. And then again, I just type on my right key and it brings me over, and then I can see equals p. And then I can insert that directly into the document again. So this is just the equation bit, the typing of the math. But we're here and we're excited because there's also like something Stacy mentioned called the EquatIO math space. So before, you would typically go to a different feature or use a different tool to create a graph, and then you would just kind of staple the graph with the back of your work if you were working with that. This allows you to do something more. So I'm going to go to Try EquatIO Math Space. Now I have logged in previously. Whether or not I've logged out, I can't remember. So we will see momentarily. Okay, so I have logged in. All right. So if we're looking, it has a nice grid background. We still have some of the same features as before. So we have the equation editor. We can type the math, LaTeX, which we're not touching, graph, which I'm coming back to. We still have handwriting. We still have speech input. Once we insert, we can select. We can type in text. We have freehand drawing if we like, or we can insert shapes. So we can choose the types of shapes. So maybe you're doing something with Pythagorean theorem and you need a right triangle. You can change the fill color. So whether or not we want a transparent background or I want a blue triangle, who knows? So that's there. And I can move it around. However I want to design my space or use my space to show my thinking, this allows me to manipulate it. So I'm going to delete the triangle since I don't really need it. So let's look at that graph editor. So the graph editor has integrated Desmos. For those of you who don't know what Desmos is, it's a free online graphing calculator. It's its own website, desmos.com. And the graphing features are really, really nice. So as you can see, I have my XY axis. I have my Cartesian grid. And I can still type anything that I would like. So linear equations, 3x plus 2. Hit graphs, and I can change the color. I can make it disappear, and then if I hold down, I can change the color of my line. I can make it dotted or dashed if I want to. Okay, so I've graphed this. I can change where I want to zoom in. So I'm looking here. So I have my y-intercept and I have my x-intercept. Should I want it? And then, so I have this. I have the graph for whatever it is that I want to use. I can insert the picture. All right. Now, it doesn't give me what the equation is. So if I wanted, so I knew what my equation of my line was. That was, I did 3x plus 2. I can insert. It's going to pop up here. I can move it, label it however I want. And if I'm not 100% sure, I click on the graph and I hit edit. There we go. And I can add more to it if I wanted to. So I could say I want to see the point where 0 and 2. And I can show the label, change my color, and then replace the graph. Now, this deals in terms of layers. So because I edited the graph most recently, my old layer is now behind. So just be aware if something goes missing, that's what happened. Okay, so I have my graph, which is great. Now I have more work, more shapes. I could be talking about, again, with the shapes that I might have. So I drew my triangle. I can manipulate it. And now I'm trying to figure out the length of this line segment because I'm trying to find the hypotenuse. I don't know. But it's an entire activity that I could want. I can continue to add more and more stuff, but now I'm complete. It's done. I want to go back and I want to put it into my, so that I can print it off and hand in the assignment. So what you go to, once you've finished everything, is you should have a picture for your initial, and you're going to click on the little drop arrow, and you're going to download it as a PNG file. So this downloads an image file, which you can then insert the image.
Can you drag it up into the doc, Jamie?
I can try. They changed something recently, didn't they? There we go. So it downloads the whole screen, so then you might have to crop. But again, oh, I did something wrong there. There we go, much better. So I can fix and I can insert. So I can now directly insert shots or parts of a graph, pictures, any kind of workspace where you yourself or the students have been explored with, and it inserts directly. So question per question, it's not suddenly at the back of the assignment, so you're flipping back and forth, and it integrates and it's all there. And like Stacy was saying, if I wanted to leave a question or a comment, I can now attach, because it's attached to part of the G Suite and part of the Google Doc, I can make a comment directly, or using Google Read and Write, I have that opportunity to leave an audio comment instead of a written one.
Jamie, just for those that may be unfamiliar, could you just insert an audio note, please? Right there, right with the arrow, yeah.
Your graph looks great. I'm missing the calculation for the hypotenuse. And then insert. My internet is very slow.
Yeah, it's just the internet, so yeah, that's fine.
But that's what it should do. So Google Docs is the main feature, but you also have access to things for the equation editor. Or, so let's open a slide. I should still have access to some of these features for Google Slides. As you can see, my button is still up. So extract math, and do I have access to the math space? Oh, it looks like I also have access to the math space for Google Slides, which is great. So you have a whole presentation. And it does more, like you don't have to do linear. You can do scatter plots and everything else with Desmos as well. I have a data management course that I'm teaching right now, and they're just working on compiling and analyzing their data, and they've been doing regression equations with Desmos, and they still have full access with the EquatIO math space the same way.
Jamie, can you open up a Google form? Oh, there's your voice note finally coming through.
Finally, it takes a little while.
So why I like Google Forms, because you can have a really quick exit card or some sort of really quick diagnostic that you could make easily with a Google form, and then you can use EquatIO in your Google form to help you with the math assessment piece, and then of course all of the data gets put immediately onto a Google Sheets, so really easy tracking. And then the students, when they go to answer the assessment through the Google Forms, they also have access to the EquatIO as well. So all of these options that Jamie's been talking us through today are available on the Google Forms as well.
And then they have that option, and they have access to the typing feature even beyond. So if I wanted to have them have a short answer, once they go to, where's my preview button? They go type, they can still edit this way. So I can say, oh, there we go.
There you go.
And then to get the exponent, all I'm doing is Shift 6. I call it the little hat. That's how I remember it. And I can use it enough, and it inserts the image of the equation, and then I can press submit, and my form submits.
And then as the educator, it's on yours.
Quizzes or math tests or science, you can still choose to do it that way.
Perfect.
I wanted to check something here. You might even be able to submit an actual graph, which looks really interesting, because if that's what I wanted to do, then I could, again, using Desmos, activating it. I said that's squared. And then if that's our unit circle, which has ties from trigonometry and everything else. So insert the graph, have that. I can type the equation again, or just use this. Download. And go into the graph and picture in. I think that's what I just did. I'm not 100% sure. But there are a lot of opportunities and uses for it. And I hope you will take the time to explore and check out the different features. The best way to learn is by using it and playing around with it, because that's how you're going to learn the neat little things that are useful.
So I have a question, Jamie. Can you just go back to a Google Doc and let's show can we show the chem features, the predictor?
Oh,
yeah. So that it's
prediction.
Yeah. So for those chemistry teachers who have to write the big long chemistry equations.
Oh, now you put me on the spot trying to remember a chemistry equation. Oh,
well, let's any of the elements. So
elements, is that what?
I believe that can come up in your predictor.
Okay, we can try.
Yep.
We're going in. I'm hiding this so I don't need to see it. Delete. So we're talking about. Let me try H. I know I've done it for physics with vectors. Like if I wanted a vector, I can put this in here and it'll pop.
What if you type in potassium? No. What about K? We need some chemistry teachers in the room today.
I know. Like I haven't done chemistry in so long, and I feel like I'm letting some people down. I do know that there's little sections as well if you need advanced features. If you go to the little math functions F, it's in there. So different options for sometimes you're setting limits and stuff. And I think
is there not? I believe that there's a chemistry drop-down option. I thought that's what I had seen.
Options?
Yeah, see, chemistry's turned off in your predictor.
I activated it.
Yeah. So now it should. Yeah. So now your vocab is expanded into. There you go.
There we go. Okay. So you have to start typing the actual name, not the symbol. Well, that's good. Okay, yeah. Good to know. I didn't have it activated.
Yeah, so
what's going wrong.
That's a good tip for everyone. So make sure that you, Jamie, do you want to just go back to where we found that? So it is not an automatic default in our EquatIO environment. So she went to EquatIO.
I went to EquatIO, and then I clicked options, and then I looked. So it just has premium, and it lets me know that my license is valid till this point. And I just went down to math options, and then what happened was prediction features were engaged for math and formulas, but I hadn't engaged for chemistry.
So make sure that you have enabled all those.
And then I hit save, and it reactivated, which is really nice.
And Jamie, do you want to go back up to the top of your page where you put the voice note in?
Yeah. Here?
Yeah.
So what I did before is I clicked on my read and write purple puzzle piece, and then if I'm clicking on something, which is better, and then my microphone accent
but just
on the microphone for access.
Yeah. But just go if you want to click on the note itself.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes. Stop. Insert. Oh, I shouldn't have been.
Yeah, that's gonna take. There you go. So Jamie, now your students can hear the teacher's or educator's message to help them in their learning as well. We're talking about communication of their learning and their thinking. We're trying to close the gaps. And so the students can leave a voice note as well, so they can explain their thinking, not only with the tools in a Google Doc and EquatIO, but orally, and then the teacher can provide feedback on their comments as well. So Google Read and Write combined with EquatIO, we've really given the students some really powerful tools to communicate and make their thinking visible in our math and science classrooms.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we covered it, Jamie. I think you did an amazing job, and I put you on the spot there with the chem thing, but that was some good troubleshooting on our part, so good job.
Well, you couldn't see my face because the screen was sharing, and I just imagined it would be the expression if it was like, okay, Stacy, now you're going to give a presentation about calculus.
Oh, I know that face really well. So thank you so much. This session was recorded. I'll be sharing out the link, and I'm just going to stop sharing now. So thank you, Jamie, for giving us some of your time today and helping all the other learners in the board.
No problem.